I think that it is wrong to put everybody above you because you ultimately will run out of energy, love, generosity, health to take care of those people you so care about. So I firmly believe it is absolutely imperative that you actually take time for you every day so that you can give so generously. I think it's the greatest form of generosity to others is to take care of you.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the liberating convo I had with Whitney Prude in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that interview, feel free to pause this now, go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us. You guys, today is September 5th, and it is National Cellulite Day. It's also a few other things. You could also National Be Late Day. It's also International Charity Day. But we had an episode that goes with this, so I thought it would be really fun to talk about it. So, history of National Cellulite Day. Let us tell you a fact. If you're a female and you're reading this, chances are you have cellulite. And you know what? There's nothing to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. Cellulite, which can range from minor lumps to deep grooves, affects more than half the women you know. The goal of National Cellulite Day is to increase awareness about the fact that cellulite is natural and part of your beauty. If you're still unsure what cellulite is, here's a quick rundown. Cellulite is completely harmless and very, we can't emphasize this enough, common skin condition that causes lumpy dimple flesh on our body. Cellulite is more common in women and can appear on the thighs, hips, abdomen, and almost anywhere. Cellulite is also caused by a buildup of fat beneath the skin. The amount of cellulite where it appears can differ person to person. However, it's important to understand that cellulite can affect anyone, and some women are more prone than others. It can be determined by your genes, body fat percentage, and age. We could go on, but I actually want you to go listen to episode 337 with Ashley Black. To the Fashion Blaster, she's done incredible, actual peer-reviewed research and studies on this.
She created the Fashion Blaster.
She did. And she explains what her research has found about cellulite. And so if you are wanting to work with yours, you can, because she's got some tools for that. So go listen to episode 337 and also just love your body along the way, right? I also just want to quote, Jay Grimes would say, do Pilates because you love your body, not because you hate it. So if there are things you're wanting to do about the cellulite that you have, do it because you love your body and not because you hate it. I think it can kind of all go in there. It's all part of the self-care. All right. We are quite busy. We're actually home for a bit. Maybe. Maybe. But as of right now, when we're recording this, we are definitely home. And so at this moment, there's quite possibly might be some space in the 2024 Elevate. We've got some really fun stuff we're cooking up for the round 5.
2025.
Oh, yeah. That's what next year is, right?
Yeah.
So 2025, there's no room in 2024. It's over. It ended. So if you are a Pilates instructor looking to dive in deeper into what you have learned and what you love, and learn what my teacher, Jay, and the teachers I've been so blessed to learn from taught me to really help elevate your practice, your teaching, your connection to the method, go to lesleylogan.co/elevate.
Yeah. And then next year, February, come join us in Cambodia. We are taking a retreat the end of the month, and you can find out all the details at crowsnestretreats.com. As you know, it's one of our favorite things to do, one of our favorite places to be.
You guys, we do Pilates. We have 5 classes of Pilates. One of the Elevate girls told another Elevate girl here at the house, she's like, oh, I'm going to be at the retreat. And she's like, oh, your practice is going to change. It's insane. In just 5 classes, it just changes. So that's really fun. Also on this February retreat, we have OPC members. We have some Be It Pod listeners. We have some Elevate members.
Yeah.
There's some epic women who are signed up. And I think someone's signed.
We have a lot of people coming as groups, coming as buddies. So like traveling together, coming together.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot of fun to do that. So do that too.
Yeah. Y'all can try out onlinepilatesclasses.com. So if you're like, oh, what's an OPC member? Well, that is what it is. onlinepilatesclasses.com. It is our on-demand Pilates classes. However, there is accountability and there's community and there's ability to get feedback on your form. So you know you're doing it right. And this is something you can do in addition to all the other things that you're doing, because Pilates really does make what you're doing better. So go to opc.me/40 to try us out for 40 days.
Yeah, check that out. And I am hosting another webinar coming up for fitness business owners, mostly Pilates, because that's most of you. And it's free. It's called the Pilates Studio Growth Accelerator. So if you're feeling stuck with money in your business, whether you have one client and you're just getting started, or you have an entire team of teachers and you've got a studio that's been running for a long time, if you're feeling stuck with money, we're going to cover the 3 biggest secrets that we have seen after coaching. More than 2,000 businesses have come through Profitable Pilates. And I want you to come join me. Go to profit.biz/accelerator. That's profit without the O, .biz/accelerator to sign up and join me.
All right. Before we get into Whitney's amazing episode, who is our question from this week?
Okay. We've got at Tibor Gabor 6854 says, can you make a workout with a beach ball?
Yeah. So this is really funny. We shared that we actually had a OPC workout with a squishy ball, and the class is called All Beach, All Ball, No Beach, something like that. And so someone's like, what can you do with a beach ball? And the truth is, I thought about it and I was like, okay, can you do it with a beach ball? There's so many reasons why I wouldn't use a beach ball. And that is, one, they come in a variety of sizes, if I recall, but also they are a little hard to like grip. And if we make it squishier, then I'm almost afraid that it won't have the sturdiness that the fitness balls have.
When you say squishy, you mean let some air out?
You let some air out. You let a little air out. You want to work with the deflated ball when you're doing Pilates. You don't want it to be perfectly taut. And that way you can actually rest against it. It creates a little instability. So the beach ball is one bigger than what a fitness squishy ball is that I would use for Pilates. So it's already just like the wrong size. So it's going to make most people's legs too wide if they put it between their ankles. It's going to prop you up too much if you're behind your shoulders. It's going to lift your hips up in a way that I don't like. So yes, you could, but is that the best thing we could do? Like when I think about a prop, you don't just use a prop to make things entertaining. You use a prop as a tool. That's how Joseph Pilates used props. It's like an accessory to an outfit, right? It's like, oh, this would make this better for you. This would actually put it all together.
What?
And
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the squishiness of the secret for it, because with a beach ball, it doesn't have that give.
Yeah.
It actually isn't squishy. And I'm not saying squishy deflated. You're supposed to deflate both. The beach ball doesn't have squishiness to it.
Yeah.
So you'd just be putting it between your legs like a block.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and as opposed to the workout ball where there's give and that creates that instability like you're talking about.
Yeah. And then the other last thing I just want to say is like the only place you probably have a beach ball aside from storage in your garage is at the beach. And Pilates on the sand is one of the most annoying things you'll ever do. Because you are rolling around, you're kicking sand into your hair, you do a single leg circle, you're whipping sand into your eyes. Like we did this in Hawaii when we were doing our retreat. Our retreat was on grass, which also gorgeous in photos, but fucking flies, guys. There's bugs that fly around grass all the time. So we went down to the beach to be like, oh, let's like do some mat work on the beach for photos. How fun. I had more sand in my hair than if I went into the water. So for all those reasons, it's a no for me, but you can take a ball workout from me on YouTube. And also, if you really like it, Rachel Piper, who's an OPC teacher for us, she uses a ball a lot and the workouts as a tool to help you connect more to the exercises. So hopefully that helps you. And if you want to nerd more about like, why would I use a prop and what do you mean by entertaining? That's what we talk about in Elevate. All right.
If you have a question for us and you want to ask it, feel free to text us at 310-905-5534 or hit us up on the gram or anywhere and stick around. We'll be right back because we're going to talk about Whitney Prude. All right. So now let's talk about Whitney Prude. Okay. Whitney Prude is a board certified clinical pharmacist, certified health and wellness coach, and certified nutrition coach with an extensive experience working at the renowned Mayo Clinic. She specializes in helping others transform and prioritize their health through personalized coaching and comprehensive wellness programs. Drawing from her personal experience of overcoming an autoimmune disease, Whitney empowers her clients to achieve lasting physical and emotional well-being. this was a really interesting interview to me. I was trying to understand where she was going with like how she got into what she was doing. At the beginning, she was really talking about overworking. And I was trying to understand like how did that end up putting her in this place where she is today? And so it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I think like what I like about her story is that here she is. She had a dream. She worked really hard. She got there, and then she her health. She sacrificed so much to get there that she didn't get to even enjoy it, and it had to lead her down another road where she is now. Which I think like, let's not take anyone's rock bottoms away. Like obviously she loves what she's doing, and she wouldn't be doing this had this not happened. But also, there's a lot of people who can benefit from listening to this so they don't lose out on the dream that they had. To be a pharmacist at the Mayo Clinic, incredible. And could have been a wonderful life. But because she sacrificed so much of herself, she had to learn a pivot. And now she's helping people so maybe they don't have to do that. So that leads into, of course, one of the things I loved about her being on is like, she said, women often put ourselves last, and leads to neglecting self-care. I literally have to remind people every single day. And then I get excuses in my DMs all the time. Like, oh, Lesley, it must be nice for you, or it's really hard. I have all these kids. And it's like, I get that. But there are people in your lives, I hope, unless you are someone who has lost everyone and it's you and these kids and you live somewhere rural and you're by yourself. Okay, maybe, and yet there's still going to be options. There's still options. There's still 5 minutes you can take for your day. 30 minutes is less than 2%. So that's, of course, why I was attracted to having her on. She said, if you're taking care of everybody else and you're a yes woman and you're saying yes to everybody else and you don't have time for yourself, it's an indicator you're doing too much.
An indicator.
It's an indicator you're doing too much. So if you are saying, I don't have time for me, it's an indicator you are doing too much. Right there. That is the biggest red flag I can give you. And she said, you have to start switching your priorities and emphasize the importance of putting yourself at the top of your priority list. So there is that thing where it's like, hey, if I ask you what your top priorities are and you list them out, are you on them? Most people don't put themselves up there. And I'm not even to say most women, I'm going to say most people. Most people don't put themselves at the top. So I think it's really, really important because you cannot show up effectively for others if you are not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think most people would have been raised that way to put themselves in the priority list. I certainly wasn't. Service first. She had a lot of mentions about being raised in the church or a religious home. And that's like, you're always last 100% of the time. Definitely my childhood was you take care of other people, you serve other people before you serve yourself. And then ultimately the question is if you ever even have the time or chance to serve yourself, because you don't.
Yeah. And there's a verse that comes to mind. I'm not going to even quote it, but like, I think I shock people when I can quote a verse. And it's like the last shall be first and the first shall be last or something like that. Anyways, I think that it is wrong to put everybody above you, because you ultimately will run out of energy, love, generosity, health to take care of those people you so care about. So I firmly believe it is absolutely imperative that you actually take time for you every day so that you can give so generously. I think it's the greatest form of generosity to others is to take care of you. And this goes for my people who are like, oh, but I'm taking care of my parents and I'm taking care of my kids, because I know we have a lot of listeners who are in that middle part. I hear you. I see you. Trust me. We vote every day to hope that people who take care of people in the home can get some sort of tax credit or some benefit or something like that. We don't have that right now. But what I am saying is like, you got to ask for help or you can get it, or you got to automate something. You got to automate the groceries so that you can sit down and read a book and it doesn't have to be going to a workout. Like paying for something. Anyways, I could keep going. Whitney obviously did. So I'm going to let you go into what you like.
Well, I really thought it was helpful where she was talking about the root of the cause. She was talking about unresolved health issues. They come often from unresolved emotional past experiences. And that is not generally something that we associate health issues with. Most people think about like, I got hurt or I ate something or it's genetic, right? And her argument is the emotional side of our mental well-being has an impact on our physical well-being. That is what she's saying. So our emotional needs and past experiences, if we don't address those trauma that we might have had or experiences that we've had that were negative, then it will impact the body over time. Stress, for example, she was talking about, impacts the body. And
it's already scientifically proven that stress is the root cause of 99% of all illnesses. Like just the stress on the body. Because when you have high cortisol, when you stress your body can no longer function as a whole. It has to deal with that thing. And so then what happens is it's not focused on these other things. I'm listening to this amazing conversation with Mindy Peltz and this other doctor on foods that can actually prevent cancers. And so, of course, he has to talk about what is cancer. And he's like, it's amazing. We could focus on how did I get this cancer? And his question is like, how do you not have more cancer? Because cancer is actually so easy to develop because our body is so good. And going, oop, that's a drug dealer. That's how you refer to it, and pulling it away. But when you are constantly under stress, you are challenging your body and keeping it in a place where it cannot function in a healthy way to do those things.
Very interesting.
I'm super obsessed with just how our bodies function in a really, really healthy way.
Yeah. Well, Whitney was talking about feeling worthy, feeling that we are enough, feeling that we're loved. This stability, this mental stability has a positive impact on your physical well-being. And so we often don't feel those things, and then we develop coping mechanisms, and those coping mechanisms lead to things like cancer over time. It's starting, or and whatever the it's like
you don't sleep, then you end up with illnesses because it's a domino effect.
Well,
or if you undereat, it's a domino effect.
So I was thinking about a good physical example, is if you've ever seen a dog who hurt his paw, right? They go around using 3 and they effectively pretend they don't have a 4th.
Yeah.
Even though the 4th might be healed now,
you are
still
correct.
Don't use it.
Yeah.
Right. And we might not cognitively be doing that with our foot or whatever, but there are parts of our body that our brain will just cut out or stop routing things through, or nerves or all that kind of stuff, because it was not working or damaged or there was an issue. And then, over time, when you're not getting blood flow and brain messages to different sections of your body, that's where problems begin.
Yeah.
That's like
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's people who another way of, because the mental is so interesting. People don't want to think that their mental health has anything to do with things around their body. But another physical example, this is how your mental health works, is you sprain your ankle. So you walk a little funny while your ankle heals. Instead of resting your ankle, instead of putting a boot on, instead of figuring out why you sprained your ankle, you just walk a little funny.
You make an adjustment.
Make an adjustment.
Yeah.
That adjustment has a chain reaction. Now you're putting more pressure on the other knee. You're putting more pressure on the other hip, putting more pressure on the other waist of your back. And all of a sudden you have functional scoliosis. You now have a weak side and a strong side. And then you end up with more injuries, more aches and pains. I had a client who had a bad knee, refused to get surgery until it got worse, finally had the knee replacement, and then needed to have surgery on the other knee because she'd overdone it.
Yeah, I just want to wrap this up by saying, Whitney said, nobody ever teaches us how to show up for ourselves so that we can meet our own needs and feel good enough for ourselves. And I think that she's right on the money. That's not taught. And it's really important that we make an adjustment about how we prioritize ourselves. This is something that obviously you've been talking about forever. It's come through on a lot of other podcasts and a lot of the things that the content that we put out there, prioritizing yourself, especially with OPC and how OPC can help you do those kinds of things. But if we don't put ourselves in a position where we're being taken care of by ourselves, there's no way we can be operating at our best to take care of all the other people that we actually do want to take care of in our lives. So just switching that prioritization in your own mind is going to have a compounding effect in the world around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back. All right, finally, let's talk about those beit action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Whitney Prude? All right, she said, if you want to reach a goal, take motivation and transition it from external to internal. So for example, I want to lose weight. That's external. So therefore, I'm going to show myself respect and love. So internal. So she's saying transition it from external to internal. I want to be first in the race. I believe I'm worthy to be first in the race, right? Get yourself to a point where you genuinely love yourself. And that was really, I found this whole conversation so interesting because it's very introspective. It's very, well, putting yourself first, but also reflective, trying to assess and analyze yourself and then take care of yourself and respect yourself. And I think it's amazing. Her program mostly starts with people who are interested in losing weight, right? And she said by the end of the program, the difference is the mindset, and whether or not losing weight even matters, the person respects and loves themselves so differently than they did when they came in that it actually helps with weight loss because you're changing the focus. So
I think I really love that be an action because that can work for anything. And the truth is extrinsic motivation is very fleeting. It's very like in the moment kind of thing. And it's a little more spontaneous, but intrinsic motivation, it helps you get out of bed on the hardest day. Intrinsic motivation helps you on those days where it's not easy to do the thing you want to do, whatever that thing is, because you care so deeply about yourself or who it's for, or what it's for, things like that.
Yeah. What about you?
She said, lean into the discomfort, which I freaking love because this is like a Pilates thing. She explained that change requires discomfort and that the body signals what needs to change through feelings of discomfort. Like you're feeling uncomfortable, there's something wrong. Like when you're sitting still in a chair and your body starts to hurt, it's because you need to stop sitting like that in the chair or stop sitting in the chair.
Can we just make a clarification between discomfort and pain? What did Jay say all the time? Messy Pilates is okay.
Oh, yeah. Ugly Pilates, get used to it. Dangerous Pilates, never.
Right.
So that's just like, I love that. I fractured my knee 10 years ago. I fractured my tibia plateau. And when I was finally able to put weight back on it, I had a really hard time. And my trainer was like giving me some of the exercise I was doing before, and he'd hand me a weight. And there was intense fear because I was uncomfortable. And I would go, oh, that hurts. And he said, is it hard or does it hurt? And to me, discomfort or difficult, our brains can put into it's bad, but it's not necessarily bad. So you have to understand like what is uncomfortable versus danger. And so when you lean into discomfort, that is where like that whole little meme of like life happens outside your comfort zone. That means you're going to be in a discomfort zone, but there's a difference between being discomfort versus danger.
Yeah, I remember being at the gym and not listening to my body with my shoulder. It was being weird, and I was like, "No, I'm gonna just push through. I'm gonna do this thing." And I ended up having to be literally. I was out doing like a specific exercise for months because the way I not listened to my body, I was actually pushing through the pain, and it was past discomfort, right?
Yeah,
and I knew it, but I was like, "No, I'm gonna do this. I've got this anyway."
So I say all pain, no gain is like the worst, worst thing because it's teaching you not to listen to your body. You have to listen to your body. And that's hard if you've never done that before. So,
but then like there's the stress that you're putting on your body to get stronger. That isn't painful. It just sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the discomfort. That's being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's like pushing.
You shouldn't be so, we're using workout a lot right here as an example, but I don't need you to be so sore you have to fall down onto your toilet every time you go to use it every single day. That's wrong.
Yeah.
But if you are adding weight or adding a rep or adding a fitness routine that is like, this is new, this is weird, I'm being challenged, but you're not in pain, then you're in a really good place because you are challenging different parts of your body to work, your brain to work. You're putting yourself outside your comfort zone. And so she encouraged you to plan time for yourself, put it on your calendar, non-negotiable, same time every day, and sit in it no matter how uncomfortable it is. She also assured it will get comfortable with consistency. And this is also true. There are certain exercises that were really hard for me to do. And because they're uncomfortable, and I was like, oh, it's just a weird position to be in. I'm not really sure. And then over time, it became like a nice comfy couch. It's like, oh, this feels good to do, right? So you have to get through the discomfort before you can make progress towards change. If you want things to be different, they're going to have to be different. So there's that. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We are so grateful for you. Thank you, Whitney. Make sure you share your takeaways with Whitney Prude. Share with the Be a Pod. Share this with a friend who needs to hear these things, that them prioritizing themselves is actually one of the best things they can do. And until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at BeItPod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the Epic team at Disenyo.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.